So Representative Ilhan Omar may be a loud-some anti-Semite who is able to get away with anything because her party is willing to stand behind her since she is one of them, plus she is a woman minority and a religious minority. So in Democratic words, she is untouchable as far as criticism. But at least she recognizes when other Democrats get the same treatment. In an interview with Politico magazine that appeared at a firestorm over her remarks, implying that certain elements of the American Jewish population have dual loyalties, Representative Ilhan Omar criticized former President Obama for pursuing policies that the Democrats appear and getting away with because the party was willing to countenance it. Quote, by the time she ran for office in 2016, knocking off a 22-term incumbent to win a seat in the Minnesota State House, Ilhan Omar was fed up, not so much with Trumpism or with politics in general as with the Democratic Party, the article read. As she saw it, the party, ostensibly committed to progressive values, had become complicit in perpetuating the status quo. Representative Ilhan Omar says that the hope and change offered by Barack Obama was a mirage, recalling the caging of kids at US-Mexico border and the droning of countries around the world, all on Obama's watch. She argues that the Democratic president operated within the same fundamental broken framework as his Republican successor. It's more like he did the same thing as Bush, not so much what Trump is doing. She went on to say that we can't only be upset with Trump. His policies are bad, but many of the people who came before him also had really bad policies. They just were more polished than he was. And that's not what we should be looking for anymore. We don't want anybody to get away with anything because they are polished politicians. We want them to recognize the actual policies that are behind the pretty face and the smile. She, of course, referring to Obama. You see, the liberals didn't want to say anything bad about Obama even though he had the exact same policies as George W. Bush. I mean, the spying, the drone strikes, and so on and so forth. And she is right about that. But I think someone like Nancy Pelosi visited her and basically told her that her political career is essentially over. So now Ilhan Omar is mad and wants to basically try to take down the entire Democratic Party with her out of spite. Someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib would most likely do the exact same thing. Now the thing about Ilhan Omar is that she is right in a sense that Obama did carry out a lot of drone strikes under his administration. And seemingly you had, big time news networks like CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times, and so forth basically covering up for him. And then one of the biggest, scandals in the Obama era was that the NSA was spying on everybody, and it was leaked by Edward Snowden, I believe. And in fact, they made an entire documentary/movie about him. So basically, yeah, Obama carried out the exact same policies and actions that Bush did. The only difference is that, Obama was a media sweetheart. The media fawned over him because he was the first, quote, black president. So essentially anyone who criticized him, even the Republicans, were lambasted. That they were destroyed for trying to criticize Obama. He's such a great guy, how could you criticize him? Oh, you must be a big bad racist, and that's why you don't like President Obama. But Ilhan Omar is wrong in the sense that Trump is carrying out drone strikes all the time, and that's just simply not the case. Trump is not a warmonger like George Bush or Obama. Trump has essentially taken a hands-off approach when it came to the Middle East, and I 100% agree with him on that. We should not be spending time in the Middle East whatsoever because we just don't belong there. We should have never gone in the first place, Bush, but we did anyway. And she's also right when she talks about how under Obama there were kids in cages and kids being deported and a lot of deportations and so forth. But now the only difference is that Trump and his administration is literally under a huge magnifying glass by the mainstream media because they are desperate to find anything to attack him with. And I think it's pretty cut and dry that the mainstream media just doesn't like Trump. Now, even though I disagreed with Obama's drone strikes no matter what, because I believe that Obama should again took a hands-off approach and just let Syria and Russia come in and take care of the threat, rather than Obama just drone striking everything that he pleases. And Representative Ilhan Omar is right in that sense, but the reason why, or the main reason why she doesn't agree with it, is because she's, a religious person. She's an extremely religious person, and this is where her hypocrisy really comes from. She went on a 2-week barrage of tweeting about, how evil Jews were and how evil Israel is and so on and so forth. And if you, agree with Israel or if you support Israel, then you have dual loyalty and so forth. But this is where she was being a hypocrite, because she herself has dual loyalty to the Middle East and Somalia or Palestine. Because even though she was against AIPAC, basically a super PAC like AIPAC that puts the interests of the Palestinian state first, she was more than happy to support CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations Committee. And they themselves are a lobby group just like AIPAC, rather than the Israeli state. And like I said before, you have all these type of super PACs in the United States. You probably have a German super PAC, a France super PAC, etc., etc. But to specifically call out AIPAC and not anybody else, which is basically giving unfair treatment to AIPAC and or Israel, that's where a lot of people got the anti-Semitic trope going. Now, the only problem that I have with Ilhan Omar's recent statements is that she's comparing Obama to Trump rather than comparing Obama to Bush. Because if anybody screwed over the Middle East and screwing over America at the same time was no other than George W. Bush. But she completely goes after Trump as if he's doing the exact same thing. And as I said before, Trump is not in the Middle East. Trump is not messing around with Syria. Yeah, he did that strike, like a year or two ago, and there I disagreed with him heavily for doing so. I even made a video criticizing him on doing this, but for the most part, Trump has taken a hands-off approach in the Middle East. Now, as of recently, the only problem that I have with Trump's foreign policy is that he's leaving troops in Syria. I think it's pointless. We should just, take a completely hands-off approach when it comes to the Middle East. Just leave it all together, let them fund and, let them govern themselves, and we just, don't care and just come back to America and, the America first thing. But other than that, Trump has done a pretty good job in terms of foreign policy and in terms of talking to North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Again, something that no other president before him actually got to accomplish. But again, she compares Trump to Obama, which is a total insult. Because Obama didn't, he didn't do anything good for the economy, no jobs, no lower taxes, no nothing like that. And campaigning on building a wall, Trump, Obama would have never done something like that. So obviously, Trump is light years ahead, better than Obama was. Now, Ilhan Omar has been going against the grain for a while now. And this is why in the beginning of the video I said that probably someone higher up in the Democratic food chain probably went to her and said, hey, your political career is over. Because again, Ilhan Omar was coming out, saying all these comments, and now she's going after the Democratic's messiah himself, Obama, which any other Democrat in the party would never dream of doing. And that's why I believe that Ilhan Omar just has nothing to lose anymore. Now, I amend her for her honesty about Obama, but in terms of a political strategy, knowing that her constituents, her voters, the liberals and the progressives and so forth, they absolutely love Obama. So I honestly don't know how this is going to play out for her in the coming weeks and days. I assume it's not going to be very good in the first place. You see, the key difference between Obama and someone like AOC or Ilhan Omar is that Obama is more of a corporate neoliberal, while, Ilhan Omar and AOC, the freshman Congress people and so forth, they are the true hardcore liberals and progressives, which is something that I talked about, a few weeks ago, was that the Democratic Party was going to start fracturing in different directions. You're going to have the corporate Democrats and you're going to have the very young, actually liberal Democratic politicians who want to take.
His son was still an American citizen.
Did great harm to people in this country and was a regional Al-Qaeda commander hoping to inflict harm and destruction on people that share his religion and others in this country. And
That's an American citizen that's being targeted without due process of law, without trial, and he's underage, he's a minor.
I would suggest that you should have a far more responsible father if they're truly concerned about the well-being of their children. I don't think becoming an Al-Qaeda jihadist terrorist is the best way to go about doing your business.
Now again, the video goes on for quite a bit. I mean, we go back and forth. There's even another reporter with me, Sierra Adamson, who confronted him even more directly and got that comment where Robert Gibbs, Barack Obama's own spokesperson, his right-hand man, said, well, this 16-year-old American citizen should have had a better father. And this is one of the justifications, official justifications, that we actually heard, because again, the mainstream media doesn't hold the administration accountable predominantly for the military-industrial complex move for this larger assassination. There was also indefinite detention that Barack Obama made as a president. There was also spying on American citizens that Barack Obama made as a president. He went on stage and he sold hope and change. Meanwhile, he brought over what Ilhan Omar is correctly describing here. The total opposite, that this was a mirage based off the bigger interests that were really running the administration. And it's not just the military-industrial complex, it's not just the foreign policy, it's also his illegal immigration policies, which were duplicitous with the messages he was sending, even making the detentions on the border as prevalent as they are right now. Many people, even on the right wing, now point out the fact that, hey, all the things that people are freaking out about Donald Trump doing at the border, Barack Obama did, and he did it in bigger numbers. And according to some articles, Jason, you're going to tell us about this, he actually even deported more people and is on scale for deporting more people than Donald Trump himself. Because, Jason, some even people called Barack Obama the deporter and chief.
Yeah, you know, if you want to look at the real numbers, Luke, this is an article from December of 2017. Donald Trump was deporting fewer people than Barack Obama. And unfortunately, this is a big, big problem for the current Democratic narrative. After all, they're the party of inclusion. They're the party of open borders. They want, you know, they don't want to call it illegal immigration. They like sanctuary cities. They like catch and release. So when the current president of the United States, who supposedly has a stronger stance on illegal immigration than the previous one, our Democratic savior, Barack Obama, well, that's an issue. And you're only seeing really right-wing type publications and middle-of-the-road publications even talking about this. The Economist, Politico. You're not going to see this on MSNBC. It's not going to be on Huffington Post. And it's really unfortunate because we have to play to the realities and facts of the situation rather than, you know, placate on people's emotions and call Trump a Nazi, a racist, and a bigot.
Exactly, that's a very important point here because, again, a lot of the media pretty much flip-flop all the time depending on who's in power, have no morals, have no values, and just say whatever they can.